basically what I've done, I wanted to buy a little bit more space. One of the challenges with these is the distance between when the starter is on the trans, the starter to turbo clearance is really close. So to get a little extra space and to move all of this forward in the truck, I took one of the bad adapter plates, had some dimension issues, and basically turned it into a 1-inch spacer. So that will move our starter further back away from the turbo, and it should move everything forward in the truck. So in theory, with just a little bit of firewall mod, I can keep this vacuum pump. Or I'm also we're machining a vacuum pump delete. So if you so desire, if you're running different brakes and you need more vacuum, you can use like a Leeds electric vacuum pump. That also buys us some space to get to hoses, connectors, the back hose, thermostat, or the water outlet housing, all that stuff. And inside here, and I'll post some pictures here, there is a 1-inch aluminum 7075 spacer that goes on the back of the normal crank adapter. So basically it'll utilize the normal kit spacer, and then we have the 1-inch 7075 aluminum. This is the test version, so we may end up deciding to put thread certs in there. But to match the Toyota flywheel bolts, these are an 11mm thread, 11 by 1, which is fairly unique. There is a thread cert, and it looks like there is room to fit that in there. So a lot of people take issue with a deep adapter plate and then a crank adapter to a flywheel. But in industry, it is not uncommon. This is a 3.9 ISB Cummins, and it has a fairly substantial adapter plate at the back, and then uses and this is only part of it, there's quite a bit more to this. It then adapts out to, in this case it was an Allison transmission, but it is not uncommon to use spacers, crank spacers and adapters in industry. That's why we felt pretty comfortable going with that with ours. And we used 7075. 7075 has a fairly significant thread pull-out strength to it. We may still go with a steel insert just because for repeatability, so you can remove and reinstall the fastener without compromising the threads. But anyway, just as an illustration, it is actually fairly common to use a kind of a generic adapter and crank adapter. Additionally, we've been working on some tube work, and this is not going to be a rock buggy. It's not a rock truck. It's just kind of an overland truck, but I know the potential for rollover is still going to be there on the trail. So we wanted a cage that was kind of it's an Exo-cage, so it'll go around the cab, and ideally it was as unobtrusive and as blended in as possible. So it is close to the body. It does stick out about half an inch past the cab all the way down, and kind of a minimal slider. And then we'll just run the tubes down the A-pillar and inside the fender, and then up to the front and tied into the bumper. The only other thing we have to do that is maintenance, there was actually a hole in the frame where the fuel tank was. So we will address that. And no, that is not part of the structure. That was just there for me to be able to mount the two leaf spring mounts by myself, keep them exactly parallel and the right distance apart. Inside, on the frame, the only modification is the driver's side. We did move, we relocated the motor mount from here back about 2 1/4 inches. So now that that is in, we can go ahead and set this engine in and make sure our motor mounts are in the right spot and everything lines up, bolts to the trans, see if we have to do anything to the firewall, which we're hoping not to, and go from there.